All right, so welcome everybody. So we're going to actually start with that bolster or whatever you've got. So you can use a pillow for this, you can use a block, you can use a rolled towel. If you don't have anything, you don't have to use anything. But I thought we'd just start in a nice passive heart opener for today. So you can take your prop around behind your back. If you do have a bolster, kind of depends on the bolster a bit, but the flat ones you can have just right at your lower back. If you have a round one, you might want to just push it away a little bit farther and or sit up on a little cushion. And then lay back over it. You can add props underneath your outer thighs, soles of the feet together, knees open wide. If you want, you can also have legs straight, of course, or knees bent, feet on the floor if that's more comfortable. Take a moment to reach your arms up, bend your elbows, hug the elbows together and scoop them up towards your face. So that'll help your shoulder blades to just move down your back a little bit more. And then you can release your arms. So that might be hands on hips, out to the sides, maybe a little more open. There should be no tingling in your fingers, okay? And it should feel quite comfortable. A bit of a stretch obviously is nice here, but we don't want anything to feel too intense. So find that spot for you. Some people do benefit from a little prop underneath the head or a towel rolled behind the neck. If you've got other props you want to use, like a sandbag or eye bag, just to start and get centered, that's welcome. Well, let's just take some nice cleansing, clearing breaths into the heart, into the lungs, just inhaling all the way in. And then out the mouth, all the way to the bottom of the breath. This can be big, loud sighs. They can be softer breaths. And just when I do this practice, I kind of notice that some days I need quite a few deep breaths. It's like I'm sort of thirsty for breath. And other days I'm not, and I just want one or two. So just sort of notice for yourself what feels like the right amount here. And if you need quite a few, go for it. Take as many as you want. And if you feel incomplete, just allowing yourself to come back to a natural breath with a nice soft belly, soft chest. And just allowing yourself to settle in this shape, to begin to tune into your body. To shift out of the mind stuff into the body. Into the ground, the land beneath you. Maybe taking a moment to acknowledge that land. And I'm on Plains Cree and Blackfoot territory here, among others. Just as you're tuning in, noticing if you're feeling tension in any particular area. And maybe there's some that you can consciously release. And noticing if there's any intention that you're keeping with you today, anything in particular that you want to focus on or just kind of remember in terms of why you wanted to show up to your practice today. And then we're going to start to move a little bit. So you can keep your eyes closed if they're closed. And just start by stretching out your hands and your fingers, maybe giving them a little wiggle, maybe stretching your arms open or up over your head. You could interlace the fingers and press them away. And then bend your knees up if they're not already, bring them together if they're wide. And if you have been using props underneath the thighs, just move them off so that you have some room here. Take your feet about mat's distance apart and begin to wash them from side to side like windshield wipers. So we're still up on the bolster. If that's bothering you, you can remove it at any point, but just for now, see how it feels to keep your upper body on the bolster. Okay, and then there's a little bit of a twist that we can play with here. So you can move side to side kind of dynamically, or you can go slowly. So it might feel nice to just pause on one side for a breath or two. And then the other, just a little bit more actively. So when we take this twist over the bolster, I find it's just a little bit more of a psoas stretch, a little bit more of a stretch into the chest. I find it actually feels quite nice. And if that's working for you, want to stay a little bit longer, you can let your knees drop over to the right side. You might take your right foot and place it on your left thigh. So that's just going to add a little bit more weight. If that hurts your knee, skip it. It might help to just keep the feet nice and active. And you can slightly just shuffle your upper body a little bit to the left so that you've got a little more of your weight of your upper body going off the left side of the bolster. And just take a few nice deep breaths here into this funny little back bend twist. And then we'll switch sides so you can release your foot, bring the knees over to the left, and again, just shuffle your upper body a bit to the right, just so a little more weight is coming down that way. You might choose to put your left foot on your right thigh, and just make sure your knees are all good there. Nice deep breath. And then when that feels complete for you, you can come back through center, wash from side to side. Maybe take one more nice long stretch. And then curl over to one side. And just take a little pause, laying on your side. And then you can roll onto your back. You might want to hug your knees into your chest, give yourself a little hug, little rock from side to side. You can also let your knees go wide and take sort of like a happy baby. So the knees are open and I'm just kind of holding my knees here. Or you could take a full happy baby with the soles of the feet towards the sky. You can release your legs, give them a little shake when you're ready. And place the feet on the mat. Okay, hands on the belly. And let's just start with a little bit of pelvic tilting. Okay, so we're going to inhale, tilting the pelvis forward, belly expands. Exhale, draw pelvic floor in and up, belly button scoops up to the spine and flatten your lower back to the mat. Okay, inhale, soften, release, let go of the pelvic floor. And as you exhale, initiate the movement from the pelvic floor and flatten the lower back to the mat. Okay, so we're going to keep going like that for a few more breaths. I'm just going to disappear for 1 second and I will be right back. Okay, and from here, you can keep going like that, or we'll explore just a little bit of a different movement along the sacrum. So this will be a little bit of a circle. So see if you can roll your pelvis just to the right half of the sacrum, and then down to the tailbone, kind of releasing the pelvic floor there, and then gathering up as you roll to the left side, and then to the top of the sacrum. So the belly is scooping up, okay? And then we're rolling to the right side, down to the tailbone. See if you can release a little bit there, to the left side, and then scooping up, pelvic floor is engaging. So we're just seeing if we can make this movement a little bit more subtle. If it's feeling like totally impossible, just keep doing the pelvic tilts. Okay, we're exploring a little bit more subtle movement here and seeing if we can kind of combine the contractions of the muscles with the movement in the body. Let's see if we can reverse the circle. So depending on where you are, I'm rolling back here. Back is flattening, and then I'm rolling to the left, releasing pelvic floor core a little bit as the tailbone tilts down to the right side, and then gathering in and flattening. So we'll just take a couple more of those. So this is a little bit subtle work. It is core work, but it's not like really intense crunch or anything like that, but we're trying to get some awareness into the pelvic area. Okay. And we'll just take, I think maybe one more circle. It should feel almost like a little massage along the outer sacral area. And then we're just going to relax to center. And for you, that might mean there's a little wiggling that you want to do, maybe some movement of the legs, or you're just resting. Okay, and take a couple breaths there. Notice what you feel around your abdominal area, if anything. Okay, and then let's add on. So place your feet back on the mat if they're not already, knees point straight up to the sky. Inhale, as you exhale, gather pelvic floor in and up. Belly button draws back towards the spine, but we're keeping a neutral spine, so we're not trying to flatten it. You can stay here or interlace your fingers around behind the back of the head and just add the upper abdominals lifting up a little. See if you can keep the belly button pressing back towards the heart, and then we'll march. So we'll just start here. This is one of my favorite core exercises because it's so beneficial for so many people. You can often do this in pregnancy and postpartum when there's lower back pain. It's just so good for kind of integrating everything. So starting here, if you're feeling like this is pretty easy, I'm good, you can lift up both of your feet and instead tap the foot down and then lift the leg up. So that's just going to be a little bit more weight for your core to bear. So keep making sure that the belly button's drawing in and up, it's not popping forward. And that just means we're using the deeper core muscles and not only the superficial ones. Just feeling a little bit of work here. And if you're feeling like this is pretty easy and you want more, you could straighten your legs. And that's going to be even a little bit more weight for your core to bear. See how that's feeling for you today. We kind of want to be in the place where there's a bit of work, like we can feel that the muscles are engaging, but we're not gritting our teeth, we're not struggling, we're not suffering. This is one of those places where we're kind of investing a little discomfort into feeling good later, but it really should be just a little discomfort. I don't think it needs to be really super crazy intense in order to be effective at all. If you do a little bit more often, way more effective than doing a lot all at once. Yeah, really good, you guys. So if you're feeling like you're hitting your point, just take a break or stop altogether. I'm gonna take one more each side. Yeah, and then we'll relax. You can draw your knees in, take a nice deep breath. Good, you can rock a little from side to side. Beautiful. Okay, from here, let's roll over to one side. And actually, let's come to hands and knees. Let's do it that way. I'll just roll right over onto our hands and our knees, and we'll take some cat and cows. So you guys know cat and cow, most of you. Just inhaling into a little bit of a back bend and exhaling to curl. Just taking my socks off, don't need them here. But you know, we can really explore this in whatever way feels right. Day to day is different. So you might be circling, you might be moving side to side. You might even prefer to do this seated, which you absolutely can. And close your eyes so that this isn't really about, you know, trying to find some perfect alignment or something. It's one of the exercises that we're doing to feel into the body and see what is going on, what we might need. I also find that's nice to just stretch out the core after that work as well. Okay, so I want to do a little bit of butt core, which you guys know at this point, outer hip strengthening. And I'm actually going to offer that we do it in gate pose. So this is kind of a little theme that I've been working with the last few classes. I love gate pose. You don't have to do gate pose if you don't like it. You'll see it in a moment if you don't know what I mean. You can just come and lay on your side, just nice and simple, okay? Otherwise, we're going to try gate pose. So to do that, I'm just going to step my left hand a little forward and I'm going to angle my left foot behind me. Right leg extends and then the foot lands. And we'll just take a moment into the side bend. So I've got my right bicep alongside my ear. It could also be up towards the sky. And I'm just enjoying this as a side bend. Nice. Okay. And then if you're in gate pose, go ahead and put your hand on your hip and see if you can lift your leg up. Okay. If you're laying on your side, just go ahead and straighten your top leg out. Flex the foot for now, turn the toes a little bit down, and we're just going to lift and lower. Nice and easy. Just feeling that outer hip working. If you're in gate pose, the bottom hip is going to be working too, so it's just a little bit more intense. Nice, and then relax the leg. If you're laying down, you can pad the hip out. If you're in gate pose, you can come back into it, taking that little side bend just to stretch out the outer hip a little. We'll obviously do more of that. And then let's take one more. So hand to hip again, float the foot this time, point the toes, and we're taking a circle. So this is a little bit harder in gate pose because we have to balance. So it's just kind of adding an element. It's hard enough laying on the side. I don't feel like it's not hard if you're laying on your side, but we're just adding a bit of balance here and we'll reverse the direction of the circle. Try to keep your hips nice and steady. So good. And then gently release. Again, you can return to gate pose and or pad out the outer hip. Okay, and then return to your hands and knees. If you've been laying on your side, you can come to your belly. And you might want to just roll the hips around a little bit if you're on hands and knees. And then you're going to take that same right leg back, point the toes, and take the top of the foot to the ground. So if you're laying on your belly, just staying down, one leg goes out long. Okay, belly gently engaged, and we're just going to lift and lower. So I really want you to think about using the bum to lift the leg. So initiate the movement from the glute and lift. So it doesn't have to be very high. But this is strengthening the back of the glute, which is very important. Definitely needed. Okay, and then maybe float the foot and just little pulses. This is a little harder to do on your belly. Okay, so you might just be lifting and lowering, but if you're in gate pose, or sorry, on hands and knees, you can try a little pulse. And then gently release and take child's pose. If you're laying on your belly, you're welcome to stay there and just wiggle the hips from side to side. If you're in child's pose, you may want to sway the hips a little from side to side too. Awesome. Okay, when you're ready, let's take that little sequence on the second side. So coming back to hands and knees. Right hand steps forward a little, right foot comes around behind you, and the left leg extends. And then you can take your bicep alongside the ear, just take a nice stretch in your gate pose, or you're setting up laying on your opposite side with your bottom knee a little bent. Yeah, and then we're gonna bring hand to hip and float the leg. Flex the foot, turn it slightly down, and we're just gonna lift and lower. So we're trying to keep everything else nice and steady, just working that outer hip. This is so helpful for sacral issues, for sciatica, for lower back pain, for pelvic issues, so helpful. Nice, you guys. And then relax, take gate pose, and or if you're laying on your side, just relax the leg and you can pat it out a little bit with your soft fist. Okay, and then last one here. So you're gonna float that leg again, this time point the toes, and we're circling. Try to keep everything else the same. If you're in gate pose, make sure you're not collapsing into your shoulder. Sort of press into the floor so that you're kind of lifting out of it. And reverse the direction of the circle. So nice, everybody. And then release that. We can take gate one more time and or pat out the outer hip. Return to hands and knees or belly. Want a little engagement through the core. Shoulders are nice and steady, so we're just looking gently down. If we're on hands and knees, that same left leg extends back, top of the foot to the floor. And then we're just lifting and lowering some amount. And again, just thinking about initiating from the glute. So it's like the glute contracts and it lifts the leg with it. So a little bit of brain work there. Sometimes the glute has forgotten what its job is. And this is a nice way to remind it. And then maybe try some little pulses, which may not work so well if you're on your belly. So just keep lifting and lowering. And again, the important thing here is just engaging that glute. I don't really mind so much exactly how you're doing that. And release. Let's take child if you've come from hands and knees, or just relax on your belly and rock your hips from side to side. You're certainly welcome to come to child's pose if you want to. You might want to rotate your wrists a couple of times. You could do that with your hands in front of you, or sometimes it's nice to do that with the hands by the hips. Maybe rocking the hips a little if you haven't been. Beautiful, everybody. Okay, you're welcome to stay here, or we'll take downward facing dog. So you can plant your palms, tuck your toes, and press up. And I'm just going to bend one knee at a time here, waving the hips from side to side. We'll definitely do some more hip opening in a little while. Keep a little bit of a bend in your elbows. Think of hugging the elbows towards each other. Neck relaxed. And then you might widen the feet apart, about max distance, slight bend to the knees, weight really in the legs. Then you can sway your legs over to one side. And then to the other. Okay. And then when you're ready, come back through center and walk your feet to your hands, coming into a standing forward bend. Elbows can rest on knees, maybe just with the head relaxed, back neutral. You can hang down if that feels good, or maybe just place your hands on the ground or blocks. And with this one as well, you can be still, or you can sway from side to side. You can give your head a little shake. And then bend your knees, draw belly in, and let's slowly roll up. And when you get to the top, you can roll your shoulders, maybe fidget a little, kind of find your Tadasana, your standing. Okay, and we're going to move through a sequence that some of you know, the moon salutation, which is so lovely for calming the nervous system. It's a nice way to just sort of move through different areas of the body without overly extending things. So I'll mirror you for this. So you're going to turn to face the long edge of your mat, and you just want to have the mat out on your left. So you're standing up at the right edge to start. And yeah, feel free to adjust your mat if it's helpful. Okay. And then we're going to soften the knees a little bit, reach the arms up to the sky. You can interlace the fingers except the first one. And then we're going to curve toward the mat, up through center, and then curve away from the mat. Come up through center and then step your left foot out along the mat. Turn the toes out a bit. Bend the knees and the elbows into a cactus shape. Nice. Okay. Straighten your legs. Turn your left toes to the left. Right toes come in a little bit. Tip your hips back and come into triangle pose. So the hand comes lightly onto the shin. Right arm opens to the sky. And just take a moment here, just sort of orienting to your triangle pose. We're no longer in child's pose. Okay, and then inhale, and as you exhale, turn down towards that front leg, and we're coming into pyramid. So step your back foot in a little bit and let it go a bit wider, and bring the hands down onto the blocks of the floor. As you inhale, lengthen, and as you exhale, melt over your leg. And just take a couple of those again as we're kind of getting into the shape. So lengthening the heart, drawing the left hip back, melting. And one more. Good. Okay, from here, we're coming into a lunge. You can do high or low lunge here. I'm doing this sort of gentle on the knees variation here. So I'm going to step that back foot back a little, bend both knees, draw belly in, and I'm rising up. Take a moment again in your lunge, making sure the tailbone's drawing down, back leg is working towards straight. I'm hoping you're feeling a bit of a stretch along the front of the back thigh. Arms reach up to the sky, shoulders soft, maybe taking a slight feeling of a back bend here. Okay, inhale again. And then we're going to come into side angle pose. We're going to release the hands, back heel spins down, and then bring the left elbow to the thigh and the right bicep alongside the ear. A lot like gate pose, draw the tailbone down a little bit, turn the heart up to the sky. You can come into a different variation of this pose if you want to, for sure. Classically, we're just here for a breath. Inhale, and then we're coming into wide-legged forward fold. So let your hands come down, parallel your feet so that they all face the long edge of the mat. Lengthen, and then fold. And I'm going to do that by walking my hands actually forward and letting my heart melt back to my thighs. This is just the shape that my body wants all the time lately. I'm bending my knees a little bit and just working my weight into my heels. So my hands are almost tractioning into the earth. Okay, inhale, coming back up halfway, and then we're coming into side angle on the other side. So I'm going to turn my right toes out to the right, bring my right elbow to thigh, left bicep comes alongside the ear. We draw a tailbone down a little bit, turning the heart up, nice and strong and straight through that back leg. Nice. Okay, we're coming into lunge. Here's how I like to do that. I inhale, reaching my left arm up, and then I bend my back leg, come onto the ball of the foot as I circle my left hand down, and then both arms come up. Okay, hug the inner thighs, draw that tailbone down. Again, we're reaching up, back leg might be working towards straight. I'm just in that same Vajra mudra here with fingers interlaced except the first one. Inhale, and then back to pyramid pose. So the hands come down, back foot steps in a little bit. Drawing the heart forward on the inhale, right hip is drawing back, and then melt. And we'll just take 3 or 4 breaths here. Awesome. Okay, and then from here, triangle. So I'm going to step my back foot back a little bit, turn the toes out a little bit more. Right hand comes to the shin, left arm opens up to the sky. And I just want to make sure I'm not locking into that right knee. Again, similar to gate pose, tailbone drawing down, nice and long through the side of the waist. Good, and then we inhale, reach both arms up to the sky, turn the toes out, bend the elbows and the knees. And then we'll step up to the left edge of the mat and reach the arms up to the sky. So we're halfway through the sequence. Curve toward your mat, up through center, curve away. So as we move through the second half, I'll show you different variations, okay? So we're gonna step the right foot out just as we did before, turn the toes out, bend the knees and the elbows. Straighten both legs, right toes turn out to the right, left toes in a bit, triangle. Nice. Inhale here. Exhale, pyramid, hands come down. The blocks are the floor. Bring that back foot in a little. Inhale, lengthen. Let's stay here on the exhale. Inhale, lengthen, and then you can do high lunge or low lunge. So I'm going to bring my back knee down for this one. And rise up. Shoulders settle. Hips press forward. Let's again stay here for a breath. Okay, inhale, and then on the exhale, we're going to transition either to side angle, or we'll take this variation called half squat. So I'm going to bring my hands down, come onto the ball of my right foot. My left leg extends straight. You can do this with hands at heart, but lately I really like this variation. Right hand is on the inside of the knee, and I'm opening the left arm up. Inhale, and then we're coming either into wide-legged forward fold or full squat. So this one's a little harder on the knees, but it's actually a little easier if your knees don't mind it, okay? So it's just a little different variations. Let's take a nice deep breath here in the symmetrical pose. Good. Inhale. And then as you exhale, we're coming into half squat or side angle with the left knee bent. So I'm just coming over onto my left heel, right leg extends. And then I'm going to take my left hand on the inside of the leg and open up, or this is side angle, which we did before. Okay, don't want to be here too long. Inhaling, and then we're going to turn into higher low lunge. So I'm just turning towards that front leg that's already bent, the left leg. Back knee comes down, and then I'm rising up. You could take that Vajra Mudra if you want. Let's settle for breath. Lengthen, inhale. And then pyramid, bring the hands down, back foot steps in a little bit. Lengthen and melt. Lengthen and melt. And we're just going to prepare for triangle. So I'm going to step the back foot back a little bit on the inhale. I'm climbing up the leg. Right arm goes up to the sky. Okay, next inhale, arms up, toes turned out. Exhale, bend knees and elbows. And then we step back up to the right edge of the mat where we started, reaching the arms up to the sky. Curve toward your mat. Up through center, curve away. Up through center, and then bring the hands together in front of the heart and just take a moment to check in with how you feel. Beautiful. Okay, so I'd like to take that sequence one more time through. And classically, we do it just one breath per movement. So it's a little faster, but that doesn't mean it has to be stressful. Okay, you can breathe nice and slow. Does anyone have any questions before we do that? We're pretty clear. Okay, awesome. Let's do it. So I encourage you to just come back to the feel good principle, which is go where feels right for you, follow your breath first. And if anything doesn't feel right, change it or just come out of it. I'm not so concerned with the poses as this being a meditative movement experience that we can have together. Okay, so don't worry too much about right or left or where you are, just follow your breath and we're all good. Okay, as you're ready, inhale, arms rise up. Exhale, curve toward the mat. Inhale up, curve away. Inhale up, step out with your left foot, toes turn out, bend knees and elbows, goddess pose. Inhale, straighten both legs, turn left toes out to the left, right toes in a little triangle. Inhale here. Exhale, pyramid, bring the hands down, back foot steps in a little bit. Lengthen as you inhale. Exhale, fold. Lengthen as you inhale. Exhale, prepare for high or low lunge, your choice. And then let your inhale bring you up into it. Exhale, side angle or half squat, whichever one you're choosing. So the left knee is bent. And then inhale into it. Exhale, full squat or wide-legged forward fold, whichever one you want to do is fine. Inhale here. And exhale. Inhale again. Exhale, prepare for side angle or half squat with your right knee bent. Inhale, fill up the pose. Exhale, high or low lunge. So turning towards that front leg, right leg. So the right leg is forward, reaching up. Right away as you exhale, pyramid, bring the hands down, back foot steps in a little. Lengthen as you inhale. Exhale, melt. I'm going to use the inhale to come into triangle. So step that back foot back a little. Climb up the leg, left arm rises. Stay as you exhale. Inhale, everything comes up. Toes turn out, exhale, goddess. And then step up to the left edge of your mat, reach your arms up, curve toward your mat, up through center, curve away, up through center. Step your right foot out as you exhale. We're coming into goddess. Nice, inhale, straighten the legs, triangle pose, right toes forward, left toes in a little. Stay as you inhale in your triangle. Exhale, pyramid, bring the hands down, back foot steps in a little bit. Lengthen. And fold. Lengthen. Then use your exhale to prepare for high or low lunge. So back knee bends on the ball of the back foot, and then as you inhale, rise. Exhale, half squat or side angle with the right knee bent. Inhale into it. Exhale into your full squat or wide-legged forward fold, your nice symmetrical pose, whichever one you're choosing. Inhale. Stay as you exhale. Inhale again. And then use your exhale to prepare for half squat or side angle. And then inhale, fill up the pose. Exhale, we're coming into lunge, high or low. So your left leg is forward. Inhale. Beautiful, you guys. And then exhale to pyramid. Back foot steps in a little, both legs straighten-ish. Lengthen. And melt. Okay, triangle as you inhale, step that back foot back a little. Climb up the leg. Right arm goes up to the sky. And melt. Beautiful. Inhale, rising up, toes turn out. And then as you exhale, elbows bend, knees bend. So good. Inhale back up to where we started. The right edge of the mat, reaching the arms up. And as you exhale, last time, curve toward your mat. Up through center and curve away from your mat. Up through center. And then bring your hands together at your heart. And just take a moment to pause and breathe. So you might close your eyes. You might keep your hands here or release them. You might find stillness is right there, or you might need some fidgeting, just taking a moment to be with yourself. So nice, everybody. Okay, go ahead and turn towards the short edge of your mat again. So you're up at the top of your mat. Reach your arms up to the sky and then dive to the earth. Lengthen up halfway and then step back to downward dog, or hands and knees is fine. And then we're going to make our way to our bellies. So you can do that through full plank. You can put your knees down. However you want to come down is great. Tops of the feet press down, and then either interlace your fingers around behind your back, hook your thumbs, or you could certainly use a strap here. And actually, if you're using the strap, you might want to try palms face down and just see if that works for you. Okay. So whatever bind you've got back there, just relax your body to the earth, hug the elbows together, press the fists away, and begin to extend them towards the sky. So we're not actually lifting a chest right now, because we're just opening the shoulders and the chest. You can do this with your chin or your forehead down. Then just find that opening. Okay, you can stay right here, or press the tops of the feet down, lift the kneecaps, engage glutes and core, and go ahead and add your chest if you want to lift up into a little locust. Maybe float your feet as well. And release. Come on down and just take a little rest, nice and close to the earth. Noticing how you're feeling here. Beautiful. And then let's come back up to our hands and our knees. And then have a seat on your bum. And if you have a wall, it might be nice to just be sitting pretty close to it because you might want it in a moment. If you don't have a wall, don't worry about it. I'd recommend sitting up on a low prop. What order do I want to do this in? I think we'll do hips first. So go ahead and release your legs in front of you. And then take your left ankle to your right thigh and bend up your knee until you feel a stretch in your hip. Keep your foot flexed and you're just on fingertips behind you. Okay. And you can rock a little from side to side. You can stay right here or stack the shins and tip your chest forward a little bit. Or even cross the legs. For some people, that's really the magic spot. Okay. And then as much of a forward fold as you want to work with. So it might be just an inch. You might be folding all the way over your legs. So just, we're looking for a stretch in the outer hip that works for you. So there's lots. I'm just finding the one that feels right. And what feels right might be a bit uncomfortable in the hip, but there should be no pain in the knees. And if you really flex your feet, that should help protect your knees. So good. And then gently, when you're ready, roll up if you've been folded forward. Gently release your legs. You might want to use your hands to do that. And take a little windshield wiper from side to side. And then we'll come to the second side. So right ankle to left thigh or whatever your second side is. Bending up the knee, feet are flexed. And we've just got fingertips behind us. A little bit of a lift in the chest. You can rock a little bit from side to side and just acknowledge that the two sides might be different. I'm just noticing my left hip is, or this hip rather, is a little bit more sensitive today. So I'm going to see how that feels. I might prefer to stay up here. We can also walk the shins to stack, maybe cross the legs. That works great for some people. And again, we're just looking for an opening in one or both hips that is painless in the knee, where we feel safe and we're getting a nice stretch that feels good for today. Okay, a little bit of a fold forward, maybe relaxing the neck. One more nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, you can gently roll up if you're folded. Softly release your legs, give them a little wash. Okay. And then from here, you can let your knees fall over to the left. So kind of like we were doing. And if you're sitting on a block, I would just move it out of the way at this point. Take your right hand across your leg, left hand behind you. So I'm still mirroring you. So just if it gets confusing in the twist. Okay, so we're twisting away from the legs. If you have the wall there, you can take that hand against the wall, bend the elbow, and just get a nice little shoulder opening there as well. You don't necessarily need that, but it can be really nice. Just about 2 handprints away from the wall. I could honestly be a little farther away. My shoulders are feeling really tight today. Okay, and then we'll gently release that. If you've got the hand on the wall, it could come down or up, whichever way is easier for you. And then we're gonna just roll over to the other hip. Left hand across, right hand behind you on the floor is perfect. or you can take it along the wall. Oh, yes, shoulders. My goodness, those young baby shoulders. And we're just opening the chest, keeping the heart nice and tall. I'm not trying to let my left bum stay on the ground. It's lifted. Okay, inhale, and then we'll gently release. Hand can come down or up on the wall, whatever feels easier. And then one last time, wash the knees. Okay, and then I'll invite you to come back into the very pose we started with and just see how things are different. So you can take your bolster, your cushion, or your block behind you. If you have a smaller block or smaller prop like the block, it would just go sort of behind the shoulder blades. And we're gonna lay back. And we're kind of preparing for Shavasana. Some of you might want to stay in this shape for Shavasana. Others may want to move, but if you want your blanket and stuff, feel free to add that. Okay, you can reach your arms up, bend your elbows, hug them together and scoop them up towards your face, which should help to get your shoulder blades a little more down on your back. And then release the arms and just see if they want to be in the same shape as when you started or if they want to be a little different. You could definitely still have the butterfly legs, or you could have legs long. And just see how you're feeling here, how this might feel different from the beginning of our practice. Maybe the body feels similar, but the mood has changed or the energy has changed. Just taking a moment to observe that without judging it. And just nice, deep, relaxed breaths here. If it feels right for you to sigh, again, if you've kind of got that thirst for breath, feel free to take as many deep breaths as you need. Maybe returning to whatever intention you may have set at the beginning of your practice. Just noticing where you're at with that. And let's transition from here into our Shavasana. So you might already be there. That's perfect. You can stay exactly here. If there's a shape that you would be more comfortable in to rest for your Shavasana, please feel free to take that shape or adjust however you need to find that place. And if you have chosen to move, you might just want to take one more deep breath and settle into your rest. So again, noticing how you're feeling, your body, your breath, mood. You can begin to wiggle your toes and your fingers and rock your head. You can reach your arms up over your head and stretch out long through your toes. And then draw in your knees. Gently roll to one side. And then press yourself up to a seat. Bring your hands together at your heart or over top, or wherever feels right. And gently bow your mind to your hands, taking a moment to honor and acknowledge the work that it took for you to show up to your practice today. The long and complex lineage of teachers that is with us in our practice. And the land that we practice on, wherever that may be in the world. Thank you for sharing that practice with me today.